everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing the Giving Thanks book tag. So this is a tag video that I found online. So basically I knew Thanksgiving was coming up and I was like, I bet someone out there has done some sort of Thanksgiving Giving Thanks book tag. So I googled it and I ended up finding a blog post from the Sassy Book Geek. It looks like they got their questions from Allie the Hardback Hoarder, and then she had it from a different video that has since been privated, so I don't know exactly who the original one is, but this tag has been out for years, it seems like, and I've never done it. But I wanted to do something fun more than just like, hey, here are all of my things that I want to give thanks for being on BookTube, because I'm pretty sure I did that last year or the year before, or both. And so this is a short tag, but it had some fun questions, and so that's what we're going to do today. So question number one is, name a book that made you thankful you live in your world and not the book's world. I could have picked a few different things for this, but a lot of it was like me considering being a main character in a book versus like I would probably end up being the background character, and those ones didn't seem to have as many things problematic about it. But I did end up picking the Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. This is a book that I read this year, 5 out of 5 stars, absolutely loved it. I loved the world building, the fact that we have all these like different Latinx gods and things, and then they're kids, and we have magical trials. First of all, if I was a main character in here and got picked for the magical trials, I do not know if I would survive, because they are very dangerous, and like some of the stuff was a little bit crazy. But also after what happens at the end of this book, I'm not too sure these side characters are going to have a great time with this either. This is part of a duology, and the second book did come out this year that I just have not read yet, but I do own, and I love this so much. But like the stakes got quite high, and because of everything that happened in here, I'm just glad I don't live in that kind of world. Like I don't think I would survive in many fantasy settings, you know what I mean? So I had to pick this one. Number 2, give thanks to a book that changed your perspective. So the one I picked for this one is going to be Qualityland by Marc-Uwe Kling. This is a book that was originally written in German and was translated into English, and I read this as a buddy read, and it is very much like a look into a semi-near future of, it's supposed to be Germany, but I feel like it also could have been America and stuff. It's like if a place like Amazon took over, and the perspective of like what this could mean for stuff nowadays, it made this sort of satirical, but in a scary way. Like it actually says on here, very funny and very scary, my kind of book. This is from Mike Judge, creator of HBO's Silicon Valley. Like there are things in here that are funny and humorous and like a very interesting look at things, but also could be in a very sort of scary way, because it's like this big corporation controlling everything. This book does follow a guy who is basically a machine scrapper, but he doesn't really scrap all these machines that are deemed useless. And in this world, like I said, the big corporation is like in charge, but it's sort of like an exaggeration of some of the Amazon stuff. Like they track what you do online, and they think of things that you might need before you think you need them. They match you up with a matchmaking service that is supposed to be foolproof, but they end up sending him something that he doesn't need at all, and then he has to go through this like huge process to figure out how to return this thing that they said he needs that he does not need. And then there's more things that go on from there that, you know, you look into what does it actually mean to have this like corporation in charge. Like I said, it's funny, it's very much satire, but there are dark, very unfunny parts for some of this, and so yeah. Question number 3, what character would you be thankful for if they were your significant other? So for this one, I went with a romance because I felt like I was going to have a very good chance of picking somebody from a romance that I would be thankful for, and so I picked a romance that I read this year that I am very sad and surprised that it took me this long to read. But I picked Zephyr from Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I gave Chloe Brown 5 out of 5 stars, and this one somehow surpassed that 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I absolutely love this one. But one of the main reasons that I love this one was him. I loved how supportive he was for Dani. This is a sort of like friends to lovers fake dating situation, but like he never pressures her. He falls first. He is a very, very good guy, and like I obviously am married and have a partner, and I'm super happy that way, but like if I had somebody like this too, or instead of, like there'd be no way I could ever be upset about that. Like I would be so thankful. Like he was like the perfect book boyfriend, you know what I mean? Like I absolutely loved this book and the relationship, but like a main part of why I loved it was him. Number 4, what character would you say thanks but no thanks? And for this one, I'm also going to be going with a pretty recent read, and that is going to be Davi from How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. I DNF'd this book. Yes. And most of it was, this is not a book for me. The way that it was written, the way that the character was, it was just not my thing. It's very much I'm gonna tell you about my life. I've been in this fantasy world for like a couple thousand years, and I just keep waking up, Groundhog's Day type of stuff, bad things happen, but like none of it was stuff that was like actually like shown to us. We didn't get to experience any of that. I DNF'd very quickly. But Davi as a main character, and I think part of it is because of the way the storytelling was, but she is very brash, she is very over everything, and so we get dumped into this with her cursing everybody out, killing people off for seemingly no reason because we didn't get to experience stuff with her. And so I don't think that this is necessarily a bad book. I'm sure some people are going to absolutely enjoy it. I mentioned in, I think, my wrap-up when I read this that it reminds me of I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young, where it's just a very crude, crass character in a fantasy sort of setting, and it's just not something that I like. But so her as a character, especially because of the way it was written, I noped out of there so fast. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. This is also a woman written by a man, and so a little of that comes across as well. But yeah, definitely just not for me. Number 5, name a book that made you laugh out loud just like your drunk Uncle Earl at Thanksgiving. So for this one, I'm actually, again, picking a book that I've read recently. Technically, I'm still reading. I'm listening to it on audio, and I am absolutely loving it. I have laughed out loud many, many times. Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. So this is a book that is narrated by Nathan Fode, who is an actor who is also in Our Flag Means Death, which I absolutely loved. I loved him in that as well. Like, I need to look up more stuff with him because he has this great way of becoming a character. And so he is doing the audiobook of this, and I am so glad I waited for the audiobook because this was an Illumicrate release for January of this year. It came out in the UK around then, did not come out in the US until I want to say August potentially, so I wasn't able to request it as an audiobook from my library until closer to that time, and I got it this month. I don't know if I would enjoy this as much if it wasn't for the narration style of him. This is a very funny book, but I think his delivery is nailing it for me. Like, he is embodying not just his main character of Ganymedes, but all the other characters as well. This is a fantasy story where we have these 12 different, I think, scions, duxes of this land. They're going on this ship cruise meeting thing for like 12 days, one for each day of each person that's there. But within, I think, the first day of being on this ship, one of them is murdered. We don't know who did it. He doesn't know who did it. We're following Ganymedes, and he's now trying to figure out what's happening. More people are dying, more bad things are happening. There's a lot of stuff going on. He doesn't want to be there in the first place, and all this stuff is happening. This is a very queer normative world, which I love, but like the writing style, the way that his delivery is coming across is so freaking funny. There have been multiple times that I have literally laughed out loud. I've been listening to it in the car, like going out and doing errands, and I'm just dying. Like, I love this so much. Like I said, I am not entirely sure if I would have thought it was as good, as funny if I was reading this myself, but I knew as soon as I heard that he was going to do the audiobook that I needed to listen to it with him because I already enjoyed him so much. Like, the delivery. This is a full experience. Please, if you can, if you're ever interested in this, listen to the audio. It is so phenomenal. But then the storytelling of this is also so phenomenal. Like, it is just so good. I'm halfway through, almost halfway through. It's an experience. I need to read more, but I am so much enjoying it. And yeah, it's so humorous, even with all the murder. Yeah. Number 6, name a book that made you incredibly angry, just like your drunk Uncle Earl at Thanksgiving. So, again, I probably could have picked a couple different things, maybe something I DNF'd. I've DNF'd quite a bit over the last few years, especially on BookTube, but not all of those are like, I am mad at this book because of stuff and then I DNF. Some of it is just not for me. Some of it is maybe I'm more disappointed. However, the book I picked, I have reread it a couple times, and while potentially not as mad as I was the first time I read it, it still does make me angry. Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. I absolutely loved both The Hunger Games and Catching Fire. I do think this is also a world I would probably not survive in if I was ever picked for the games, and I do not think I would live in the capital. So yeah, I guess this should probably have also been the answer for question number 1. I thought that was too obvious, and then I got to this question and I was like, you know what? I was so upset at the direction this series took in this book. Like, the first 2 books have the games, and like, yes, they are horrific, they are bloody, and like, things should not be happening that way. And then it turns into this revolution thing, which, okay, yes, fine. But the way the characters, some of the characters that I absolutely loved were handled, the way that the consequences of some of the actions were handled, the way the revolution was handled, a lot of this, especially the first time I read it, I was so upset and angry. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Like, yes, this was telling a story that probably needed to be told. However, after making me read the first 2 books that I gave both of those books 5 out of 5 stars, I am mad at this one. Always. Incredibly angry with it. And so, yeah. It was the first thing that came to mind, besides maybe a DNF, and I was like, no. A book that I have read actually at least 3 times. I've read the first 2, I think even more than that. I've read this at least 3 times, and it's just, yeah, it makes me angry. And then finally, number 7, name one thing you are thankful for about BookTube. So I think I've said this every time I make a video like this, because I have done some sort of thankful for BookTube or thankful for, you know, books and things like that over the years that I've been here. One of my favorite things is being able to talk to other people that love books. I love when you guys comment on my videos. I love the community that is around this sort of stuff when I comment on other people's videos, or even like related to like Bookstagram and things like that. I am a stay-at-home mom with kids. I don't get out very often and talk to people. I don't have very many friends. The friends that I had even before becoming a parent moved away. You know what I mean? So like, this is my major outlet for socialization and things like that. And so the fact that I am able to talk to you and share my love of books and video games and other things like that on this channel, that is what I'm the most thankful for, is being able to connect with people, to talk to people about stuff. I loved that I was able to help do the read-along for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff earlier this year, because being able to like sit down and read stuff and talk about things with people and like just have that connection has been my favorite thing. So again, I know we're getting into the end of the year. A lot of people are getting busy. Comments don't come in as much during this time of year. I know I am bad about posting comments on other people's videos sometimes around this time of year, but that's the thing that I love the most, is being able to talk to you, to share my love of these things and get that love back. You know what I mean? So I know I'm pretty sure I've said this before on this channel, but that is what I love most about BookTube. That is why I keep doing this. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, 7 years in December. And even though I'm not like a huge channel or anything, that's what makes me keep coming back. The fact that I can share things that I've read, things that I've loved, things that I've hated or made me angry, and be able to talk to other people about it. So yeah, that was the tag for today. If you watch my video and you want to do this, great. I know by the time this comes up on my channel, it won't be American Thanksgiving anymore, but if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, so I will see you then. Bye!